Ugh, ads are such poop. Subscribe to Acast Plus now to skip ads and more for just $1 a month. Click the link in our show notes to learn how. And hey, we're on Patreon too. Your support helps cover the cost of running a podcast. For $2 a month, you can get early access to all our episodes ad-free, plus bonus episodes exclusive to Patreon subscribers only. Visit patreon.com/sacrilegious discourse to sign up now.
Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
Hey friends, it's Mark Bittman, host of Food. If you haven't listened yet, we talk about recipes, of course, and a lot about cooking, but also about injustices in the food system and how America's food policy is moving both forward and backwards. We had climate expert, genius, and all-around great guy Bill McKibben, hilarious writers Samantha Irby and Lindy West, and legendary Gullah Geechee cook Emily Meggett. We've got much more in store for you. Fantastic guests like Alice Waters, Dan Levy, Cory Booker. Plus our customary recipes and, starting soon, commentary or, depending on the day, rants. Please check us out. I'm sure you'll like the podcast. Thanks.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.
Welcome to Sacrilegious Discourse.
I'm husband.
And I'm wife.
Together, we're reading the Bible for the very first time.
We grew up without religion and wanted to know what all the fuss was about.
Well, what have we learned so far?
That God is a dick, and apparently some people believe in talking donkeys?
We're not trying to pass ourselves off as experts.
Nope, we're just reading the Bible for the first time and giving our first take reaction.
If you'd like to join us in this venture, you might consider starting at episode 1.
Otherwise, jump in wherever you like.
All right, let's go read the Bible.
Yeah, let's get to it. Husband!
Wife!
Do you know what today is?
Yeah.
It's Q&A Saturday.
That is right. And
we're talking about Satan.
oh, yeah. Shit, I totally forgot Satan came. That's amazing.
I didn't forget.
When it came up the first time, I was like, oh, man, we need to dig into this shit.
Mm-hmm.
That was so early in the week. I was like, I totally forgot about Satan.
Awesome.
How can you forget about Satan?
I didn't.
Fuck.
I took notes.
You took notes?
I took notes.
Good notes?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Well, are you ready to go talk about Satan?
I am ready to talk about Satan.
Let's go talk about Satan.
Satan.
I've gotten to see so many more shows than I normally would because of how quickly and easily I can get tickets through Today Tix. Today Tix has amazing prices for some of the best theater I've ever seen. They also have a huge cyber sale coming November 18th with savings of up to 50% off. See that show you've always wanted to see or discover something new that you'll love just as much for even less. Go to todaytix.com/todaytixnyc and use promo code todaytixnyc to get $10 off your first Today Tix purchase. That's promo code todaytixnyc at todaytix.com/todaytixnyc for an additional $10 off your first ticket purchase.
Okay, let's talk about Satan.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready to talk about Satan.
What do you know about him?
I know that Satan is like the biggest, baddest, worst thing in the Bible that Christians always talk about.
He's the big bad.
This is Satan, for Christ's sake.
He is also known as the devil in the Bible.
Yes.
And those are used interchangeably.
Right.
And he is also sometimes called Lucifer.
Yeah.
So all of those things are
interchangeable
names.
Yeah.
Yes. For the same dude.
Right.
Okay?
And there's other things that kind of half reference, maybe sort of kind of.
I'm going to get to that.
All right.
Okay.
Good stuff.
Satan is an entity in the Abrahamic religions that seduces humans into sin or falsehood.
You know, what's funny, a lot of Christians think that atheists are Satan worshippers who eat fucking babies.
I know.
And that's just a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah. Like,
just for the record, any Christians out there listening currently, we do not eat babies, and we are not Satan worshippers.
Because we don't believe in
Right.
Satan.
The whole point of being a fucking atheist is you don't believe in
Higher powers, magical beings.
That includes fucking Satan.
Sky daddies and underworld baddies.
Right. Yeah.
So in Judaism, Satan is seen as an agent subservient to God. Okay?
Okay.
And I'm going to get back to that in a minute.
That almost sounds like he works for him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, I will get into that in a minute, but Lucifer is one of God's angels who fell. Right. So he would work for God.
Right. But I mean, most people put them at odds, though.
Right.
So.
Right.
Just saying.
Exactly. The term may also be taken as a metaphor for someone with an evil inclination.
Got it.
So, sometimes you will say in the Bible, it will say something about the devil, and they mean a specific entity that is doing the tempting, and then other times they mean that you are of the devil, meaning
you're acting like the devil, basically.
You're just evilly.
Got it.
You're doing evil.
Right.
Stop.
Yeah.
So in Christianity and Islam, Satan is usually seen as a fallen angel or a jinn, like a genie, evil spirit,
right,
who has rebelled against God, where God nevertheless allows him temporary power over the fallen world and a host of demons.
Temporary power, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. How temporary was it?
I don't know. Depends on the story.
Gotcha. Okay.
And there are a ton.
I mean, I can only imagine. Based on how many stories there are today,
right,
of Satan and how many songs and everything. Like, I started the fucking Satan music list on my Google Music.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, just to see how far I only came up with 3 songs so far.
That's cool.
But, yeah, I was.
Do you remember any of them?
Devil Wears a Suit and Tie, and then
The Devil Went Down to Georgia.
Yes, that was another one. Yeah. There's some other ones that I could have put on there, but they were just not my genre style that I usually like. I want to make them things that I like. So,
got it.
But I want to see how far I could get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's really cool.
Right.
You guys know we love pop culture references here, so if you want to recommend some good songs that...
send me some good devil songs.
Yeah. So, anyway, to continue, in the Quran, Satan is an entity made of fire who was cast out of heaven because he refused to bow before the newly created Adam. And he incites humans to sin by infecting their minds with evil suggestions.
I get that. Like, why would, you're being forced to bow before Adam? You're just a dude made from dust. Fuck you, man.
Right? Like, I have been here for an eternity and my wings are fucking awesome.
You see these powers I got, you stupid fuck?
Yeah.
What? No, I'm not bowing before your ass.
That's ridiculous.
This is dumb.
Yeah.
God, go piss up a rope, man.
Yeah, I can see why Lucifer fell.
Right?
He's like, nah.
Yeah.
Nah, bro. Yeah. Cool story, bro.
This is not cool. This is not okay. God, did you bow before him? No, I'm not fucking bowing.
Yeah. So, although the book of Genesis does not mention him, Christians often identify the serpent in the Garden of Eden as Satan.
You don't say.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't subscribe to that because why wouldn't they just out and say it?
Right.
Like, they're telling
there's a lot
story.
of things that when you get into Christianity that aren't outright said in the Old Testament, but they still ascribe these things to them.
Right.
So.
Right. That's true. Satan's appearance is never described in the Bible, but since the 9th century, he has often been shown in Christian art with horns, cloven hooves, unusually hairy legs, and a tail, often naked and holding a pitchfork.
Yep.
And these are an amalgam of traits, meaning a combination of various traits, derived from various pagan deities, including Pan, Poseidon, and Bes. And you better believe I'm going to get into Bes at some point because I didn't know that one.
Okay.
So I'm not doing that this episode. I did not have a chance to look up who the fuck is Bes.
Right.
But best believe. So the Hebrew term Satan is a generic noun meaning accuser or adversary and is derived from a verb meaning primarily to obstruct or oppose.
Okay.
And in early books of the Bible, like in 1 Samuel, it refers to human adversaries, but then in later books, especially like in Job and Zechariah, it refers to a supernatural entity.
Okay.
So it just depends.
Sure.
And I've told you about the book of Job before,
Yeah,
right? Where
yeah.
it's basically God and the devil make a bet kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah. So the first occurrence of the word Satan in the Hebrew Bible in reference to a supernatural figure comes from Numbers chapter 22, verse 22.
Really?
Which I don't recall.
I don't either.
But they might have said something else in our interpretation.
That's true.
But that's when he's first mentioned, which describes the angel of Yahweh confronting Balaam on his donkey. Balaam's departure aroused the wrath of Elohim, and the angel of Yahweh stood in the road as a Satan against him.
Oh, was an opposer.
Mm-hmm.
So not necessarily Satan, but he was opposing Balaam.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So
this isn't Satan. This is just an opposer. The noun that the Hebrew used.
They're like, this
Satan.
angel's being a Satan. So then, also in 1 Samuel, in chapter 2, it describes the sons of Eli as sons of Belial, which we did a Q&A on that because we were like, what the fuck is Belial?
Right.
And later usage of this word makes it clearly a synonym for Satan.
Okay.
Which I do recall that.
Right.
So further in 1 Samuel, Yahweh sends a, quote, troubling spirit to torment King Saul as a mechanism to ingratiate David with the king.
Okay.
I kind of don't remember that.
Not off the top of my head, I don't recall that one. But I'm sure that could make some sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And in 2 Samuel chapter 24, Yahweh sends the, quote, angel of Yahweh to inflict a plague against Israel for 3 days, killing 70,000 people as punishment for David having taken a census without his approval.
I mean, we read that, but I also am struggling with that being...
The angel of Yahweh is...
hypothetically Satan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because,
but is it just because they're an opposer of humanity or Saul or
that's what I'm saying.
Whatever?
Sometimes it is a Satan or the Satan. Like they're talking about just some evil spirit doing humanity harm.
Got it.
And other times, but working for God.
Right.
And other times it's Satan himself.
Okay.
But that is more a later Christian thing.
But I would imagine that Satan himself, quote unquote, would be more of an opposer of God as opposed to an opposer of humanity or a person.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
That is correct. So First Chronicles repeats that story, but replaces the words angel of Yahweh with an entity referred to as a Satan. And that's where we just were reading and we're like, I'm sorry, what?
Right.
Because that was First Chronicles chapter 21.
Yeah.
So, that is where we are now.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Going back to 1 Kings, the prophet Micaiah describes to King Ahab a vision of Yahweh sitting on his throne surrounded by the host of heaven.
I remember that.
Yeah. And Yahweh asked the host, which of them will lead Ahab astray? And then a spirit whose name is not specified, but who is analogous to the Satan, volunteers to be, quote, a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets.
Got it.
And remember, we did a Q&A about that too.
Yeah.
And there was no consensus on whether that guy who spoke was actually Satan, a Satan, an angel, what?
Well, the addition of a Satan versus the Satan, or the Satan, whatever you know, the correct analogy is, or whatever.
Right.
Brain. But regardless of the Satan or a Satan, I lost my complete train of thought.
You used
my brain opposed me. My brain was Satan just then. It's opposing me.
You used the wrong article.
Yeah.
And then you called the article a pronoun or something.
Right.
And then you were like, I cannot.
No, my brain got stuck.
Yeah.
I don't remember what I was going to say now.
Okay, I'm
sorry. It was going to be something really fantastic, and you all really just missed out on something like so amazing.
Doubt it. Anyways. So the Satan appears in the book of Job, which I mentioned earlier, which is a poetic dialogue between God and Satan. That's a nice way to describe what happened there, which may have been written around the time of the Babylonian captivity, which is interesting since that's about where we're at.
Yeah. And
in that text, Job is a righteous man favored by Yahweh. And in Job, it describes the sons of God presenting themselves before Yahweh, and Yahweh asks one of them, the Satan, where he has been, to which he replies that he has been roaming about the earth. And that's when God's like, have you checked out my guy Job over here?
Right.
And that's when that happens.
Right.
So
not that he wasn't that favored. He gets he's like, yeah, go fuck with him.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. Yeah. Very uncool.
Right.
The book of Enoch, which is from the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Okay.
It contains unique material on the origins of demons and Nephilim.
Oh, interesting.
Why some angels fell from heaven, and an explanation of why the Genesis flood was morally necessary, and some prophetic exposition on the 1,000-year reign of the Messiah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
So the Book of Enoch, which the Dead Sea Scrolls revealed, was nearly as popular as the Torah.
Wow.
In its time. Yeah. Wow. That's what the Dead Sea Scrolls revealed, that it was nearly as popular as the Torah.
But then it just disappeared.
Yeah, we don't really know.
I mean, you know, the Dead Sea Scrolls was a big thing, right?
Yeah.
So, like, they got rediscovered after 1,000 years or whatever.
Well, I mean, think about it. What happened to so many things during the Babylonian exile.
Right, that's true.
So
that's true.
It's amazing that we found anything to begin with, and then that we found some things like the Dead Sea Scrolls later is further amazing.
Right, right. I think it's funny because there was a lot of talk about how they're not going to publish these things at the time. And we're talking 30 or 40 years ago or whatever, right?
Right.
But, like, there was all kinds of worry about how it would disprove God. And I'm like, well, the Bible does a fine job of that on its own.
Yeah.
Guys.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really think you can fuck this up anymore.
No. And, anyway, what, is your God so weak?
Right, yeah.
Like, is your faith so weak that you can't stand it being shook up by some mere, I don't know, words?
Right, right.
So, the Book of Enoch describes a group of 200 angels known as the Watchers, who are assigned to supervise the earth. Which, do you remember that show Fringe that we watched?
Yeah.
And
they had the Watchers.
They had the Watchers who were assigned to supervise the earth.
Interesting,
right?
Yeah.
And I wonder if this is where
kinda
they got
took
those
it from. That, yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
That was a great show, by the by.
It was.
Anyway, the Watchers were assigned to supervise the earth, but instead abandoned their duties, and they have sexual intercourse with human women.
Those fuckers.
Yeah.
Man.
So that's what the Book of Enoch talks about. That's how the Nephilim are come about.
Oh, okay.
And so one member of the group of Watchers, known as Azazel, spread sin and corruption among humankind. And the Watchers are ultimately sequestered in isolated caves across the earth and are condemned to face judgment at the end of time.
Oh.
And I don't know if you remember, but we
Be careful what caves you crawl into.
Well, as I was saying, I don't know if you remember, but we are watching, like, we're towards the end of Supernatural. I think there's only like 2 more seasons because we're behind.
Obviously.
Yeah. But where we were at, that boy Jack opened some caves in the ground.
Yeah.
And that's what he was talking about, letting loose.
Okay.
So that's interesting.
That is interesting.
So the Book of Jubilees, which I don't know anything about, was written around 150 BC.
Okay.
And it retells the story of the Watchers' defeat, but in deviation from the Book of Enoch, this guy Mastema, the chief of spirits, intervenes before all of their demon offspring are sealed away, and he requests that Yahweh let him keep some of them to become his workers.
Is this so? These are the demons. Is that okay? Got it.
Yeah, and the head guy Mastema is like, I'm the master.
Right.
I'm Master Mastema, and I need some of these angel baby bad boy demons as my slaves.
Right.
So Yahweh acquiesces. And Mastema.
Even in supernatural entities, slavery is okay.
Yeah. Okay, but this part is so cool. Ready for this?
I'm ready.
Mastema uses them to tempt humans into committing more sins so that he may punish them for their wickedness. And one of those sins was he induced Yahweh to test Abraham by ordering him to sacrifice Isaac.
Oh my God. Seriously? Like, it's an apologist take on the Abraham story? Even?
Yes. Yes.
That's such bullshit.
It's not God's fault. He had his arm twisted.
That's bullshit.
By Mastema.
That is bullshit.
Right? This all-powerful motherfucking being.
It's bullshit enough that there's this fucking God that supposedly has control over all of our lives or whatever, and whatever.
And then he's like, how much do you have faith in me? How
much?
Show me. Kill him. Do it.
But like,
just kidding.
Why else would you have an apologist thing written in, what was it, 150 AD? Or?
AD.
Okay. Why would you have somebody write an apologist account unless, even back then, they were already starting to go, this stuff is God's a little bit of a dick here, you know?
Yeah.
Like, maybe we should, like, tone him down and give him a reason why that happened, because that was a dick move, man.
And they were like, how can we make this seem better? And instead they made God seem weak.
It's just, I mean, but like, okay, but it just proves that none of this is real, because they're just constantly making up excuses for this and that and rewriting. I mean, the shit that we're reading right now with the Chronicler. Yeah. I mean, he's just rewriting what he fucking wants to rewrite.
Yep.
It's crap.
I don't understand why it's included as canon in the Bible. Like, look at this rewriting.
Yeah.
Why?
No, I can't imagine being the person sitting there editing a new version of the Bible and saying, yeah, let's just keep this shit in. Whatever. I mean, it only detracts completely from the other thing.
I mean, I could understand it if it's like, this book is a collection of ancient texts, some of which oppose each other. That would be cool if that's how it was introduced. But it's not. It's introduced as, this book is the good word. It is God's word, and every word of it 100% is true, and you need to believe the whole thing.
Right. No, if somebody came up to me and said, hey, I believe in God. Oh, really? Okay. Well, why do you believe in God? And then and it wasn't based on the Bible. It was based on feelings and whatever. And they said, and there's this book that we read, and you kind of have to decide what you think your version of God is, because there's a lot of people that have different takes in this book, That would be somewhat better.
Better, but still not perfect.
Right.
The only way this book, the Bible, is excusable is if you say it is not a story. It is a collection of various stories from dum-dums way back when.
Right, like the collection of Jewish folklore that we're going over in our book club.
Or like
you could just say this is a collection of stupid ass stories. You decide which ones you like.
Like Beowulf and the Greek, Roman, and Egyptian gods, and from the beginning of time, all the dumbest stories.
Yeah.
Okay, I just lumped them all together and called them all dumb stories. Some are clearly more interesting than others.
Definitely.
I mean, I love Beowulf.
Right.
Even though it's dull as fuck.
Right.
I love the overall. And I love learning about the Greek, Roman, and Egyptian gods. But then we get to the Christian guy and his collection, and it's so messy and stupid.
But you know what? We have the benefit. We have the ill fortune of having a book already written about this, right? Mm-hmm. There's not like a Bible of Greek gods that I know of.
Right.
It's been stories handed down through all time, right? And they've been written in so many different ways that it's just a matter of a bunch of different, essentially, fables that have been cobbled together, and here are the stories of these things.
Right.
Well, we've been told from, early on in human history that this book of God, quote unquote, is the book of God.
Not true God.
Not a grouping of stories about a God that we want to, remember type thing. But this is a book that is either God's word or almost God's word.
Right.
And we're supposed to take it as such, right?
Right.
And that's just complete crap. That's not what it is. It's not that at all.
No.
It's a bunch of people trying to explain what God is in their own fucking words.
And then a bunch of other guys saying this story is not cool and then trying to rewrite it.
Right.
Not to redefine God, but to redefine who was living at those times.
Yeah.
So stupid.
I mean, yeah.
Well, let me continue on with my notes.
Sure, sorry.
Okay? Yeah. No, rants are great. In the Middle Ages, Satan played a minimal role in Christian theology and was used as a comic relief figure in mystery plays. So that's funny.
That's funny.
During the early modern period, so we're talking like 16, 17, 18, 1900s.
Yeah.
Satan's significance greatly increased as beliefs such as demonic possession and witchcraft became more prevalent.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a period of shame.
Right.
And then during the Age of Enlightenment, belief in the existence of Satan was harshly criticized by thinkers such as my man Voltaire. I love me some Voltaire, y'all.
Oh.
If you ever want to read a book that is funny as fuck and just smart as anything, read Candide.
Yeah.
It is just fantastic.
Yeah.
So, okay. Sorry, that was off topic. But I just love Voltaire.
Right.
So anyways, nonetheless, belief in Satan has persisted, as we well know, particularly in the Americas.
Mm-hmm.
That's a sad claim to fame.
Tell me all about it.
Having said that, most Jews do not believe in the existence of a supernatural, omni-malevolent figure. And I really like that word, omni-malevolent.
It's a good word.
Right?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
It's interesting that the Jewish people don't believe in this, though.
It's because they're intelligent. They're intellectual, as we talked about last time.
Well, they're inquisitive at the very least.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. The Jews also tend to reject any belief in rebel or fallen angels and view evil as abstract, as in the case of human adversaries.
Sure.
So, you know, again, they are inquisitive and intellectual and view these things as such.
Right.
So,
but no, America has fallen into fantastical, you know, basically God fantasy land. Yeah. You know?
Yeah. So stupid. So as I said at the beginning, Satan and devil are terms that are used interchangeably. We've gone over this a little bit before when we talked about Belial and some of the other bad boy gods. But devil itself means to slander or slanderer.
Okay.
Beelzebub, Lord of Flies, is another name he goes by.
Yeah.
And Abaddon, the Destroyer, is another one.
All right.
There were a whole bunch of others, but I mean, we're getting like repetitive here, so I just cut it to those.
Sure.
The New Testament Gospels identify Satan and his demons as the causes of illness. There was a bunch of New Testament stuff I did not get into since we are not there yet.
Yeah.
But I will say this. A bunch of stuff in the book of Luke, they talk about the devil and his demons being the cause of illnesses, including fever, leprosy, and arthritis. And then the book of Hebrews describes the devil as him who holds the power of death. And then, last note, apparently Muslims do not regard Satan as the cause of evil, but as a tempter who takes advantage of humans' inclinations toward self-centeredness.
Okay.
More of a spirit than a being.
Right.
So,
yeah, it just sounds like somebody to blame all the problems onto me. But,
the devil made me do it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's it's a trope.
It is a trope, and it's so stupid. Just take responsibility for your actions. Herschel Walker, you have 1,000 babies out there, and that's even including all the abortions you made people have.
Right.
For God's sakes.
Yeah. No, it's that was an interesting. I learned a lot there. Like, I mean, I like the idea that Satan came from a Hebrew word that meant opposer.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna start calling people that oppose me like, goddamn Satan.
You're a Satan.
You're Satan.
You're a Satan.
You're a Satan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that was all we had for the Q&A today.
That's all I have for the Q&A today.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow for
Sacrilegious Book Club.
And we'll have our weekly replay that day as well, and then we'll be back on Monday with
1 Chronicles Chapter 26.
That is correct.
Yay!
All right. We'll see you guys then.
Bye.
Hey, wife, I guess that's the end?
But husband, that's just sad.
It doesn't have to be. We are on lots of social media platforms like Twitter. Our handle there is sacrilegious_D.
For D's nuts.
Oh my God. Stop doing that. Anyway, we're also on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. There's a link to all of our social media sites at our website.
Ooh, we have a website?
Yeah, it's sacrilegiousdiscourse.com, where you can also find a link to our merch shop.
We have a merch shop?
Yep, we have podcast-themed clothing, mugs, notebooks, and more, as well as an atheist and science-themed products.
Wow, our fans should really go check that out right now.
Definitely. They can get in touch with us by sending an email to sacrilegiousdiscourse@gmail.com. But before they do that, we could really use some help.
Oh yeah? With what?
Well, it's not free running the podcast, and we need some financial support in order to get better equipment, which will free up time so we can concentrate on our podcast and our fans.
Okay, so what should they do?
Head over to patreon.com/sacrilegiousdiscourse and sign up as a contributor on our podcast. Supporters there receive additional bi-weekly episodes that we record just for our Patreon members for as little as $2 a month.
Also, we'd really appreciate it if you would like and subscribe on whatever platform you're using.
And Apple Podcast reviews help us out tremendously.
Like and subscribe, leave an Apple review, join us on Twitter, support us on Patreon. That's a lot of instructions. Don't forget to say thanks.
Thanks!
Okay, bye.
I've gotten to see so many more shows than I normally would because of how quickly and easily I can get tickets through Today Tix. Today Tix has amazing prices for some of the best theater I've ever seen. They also have a huge cyber sale coming November 18th with savings of up to 50% off. See that show you've always wanted to see or discover something new that you'll love just as much for even less. Go to todaytix.com/todaytixnyc and use promo code TodayTixNYC to get $10 off your first Today Tix purchase. That's promo code TodayTixNYC at todaytix.com/todaytixnyc for an additional $10 off your first ticket purchase.
Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
GM, I'm Dan Roberts.
And I'm Jeff Roberts.
And this is
GM from Decrypt.
This podcast is a conversation, one each episode with the biggest names in crypto. And you're definitely going to want to hear what they have to say. But Jeff, what are we going to ask them about?
Well, Dan, I thought we could start with NFTs.
Oh yeah, NFTs. I heard NFTs are DOA, or maybe they're just MIA.
Oh yeah, and what about the battle between BTC and ETH?
Well, was that too many acronyms for one trailer? Don't worry. We'll talk through all this and more on our new show, GM from Decrypt.
You can find us on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe now so you don't miss a single one. GM.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.